Hello, my lovely learners. Welcome to Bloom and Grow Education. My name is Meredith Dickinson, and I'm very excited to share this English lesson with you. So this week we're having a focus on reading comprehension. We're doing a few different activities, and this one we're reading a narrative called The Animal Adoption Centre. And this is actually an award-winning piece written by a Year 3-4 girl. I'm not sure if it was Year 3 or Year 4. So she is a Perth girl. She entered the Tim Winton Writing Competition and she came, I think it was 3rd place she came. It's a really fun story, and we're going to read it now, and then we're going to do some answer some questions about it at the end. Vroom went the little red sports car. Odette was on her way to the farm. She had just married a farmer named Bill. They met at a coffee shop and fell madly in love. Odette had long, blonde, luscious locks tied back with a scarf around her head. She was wearing a skin-tight dress and crimson lipstick and big pearl earrings. She worked as a makeup artist and designer. In fact, she designed the dress she was wearing. She was moving to Bill's farm and had spent hours on Pinterest imagining her flash life in the country, maybe like Queen Elizabeth at her country home. Her life was going to be very fancy, she thought. When she arrived at the farm, she saw Bill waving and holding his cat Kelly. Bill was the opposite of Odette. He wore dirty clothes, muddy steel cap boots, and a brown wide-brimmed hat. And that should say his. Jumping out of the car, she gave Bill a big kiss with her plastic surgery lips. Smooch! It left a big red mark, and since Odette was bad at staying still, it looked like Bill had been stabbed in the cheek. Bill spent the next 45 minutes unpacking her clothes and makeup. Odette settled in for the night and began dreaming of her posh new life. The next morning, Odette and Bill woke up happily and walked down to the kitchen. Bill made boiled eggs on toast. Odette sat happily on her iPhone X texting her friends. Bill brought the eggs to the table, and Odette lifted her spoon and looked at the egg. She was shocked. "What is that?" she asked in shock. "What do you mean?" replied Bill. "It's a white egg." Odette was furious. Bill was confused. She demanded to have an explanation. "Eggshells are normally brown," she said. Bill explained that brown chooks laid brown eggs and that white chooks laid white eggs. Odette demanded that Bill get rid of all of the white chooks on the farm. Bill felt torn, and he also thought Odette seemed a little crazy. Maybe they should have got to know each other a little more before they got married. Later that afternoon, Bill was driving his rusty old ute into town when he saw a big shed for sale and had an idea. He worked hard, and after a few weeks it was done. It was an animal adoption centre. Bill couldn't bear to kill his chooks, and he thought someone else could love them as much as him. The Animal Adoption Centre would be a place for his lovely chooks to stay until other people wanted to come and buy them. The next evening at dinner, Odette and Bill were having roast pork and vegetables. Bill was talking about his vegetable garden and said that he uses cow manure to help his plants grow. There should be a comma there. Then Odette jumped out of her chair, ran to the kitchen sink, and spat out her food. "You're telling me that the vegetables you have just served me were grown in poo? How could you do this to your beloved wife? I thought you loved me." "What's so wrong with manure?" replied Bill, very confused. "Everything," she replied. "Get rid of the cows." So Bill did exactly what Odette said. He took his favourite cow, Percy, and the rest of the herd to the Animal Adoption Centre. He loved his animals, and it broke his heart to see them go. But after all, he still loved his wife and knew that she was adjusting to farm life. Days passed with no problems, and Bill thought Odette was starting to get used to farm life. But little did he know, Kelly was going to change that. The next afternoon was a beautiful sunny day. Odette had just painted her nails bright pink and was drying them in the sun when Kelly brought Odette a welcome present. Cats and dogs often bring treats for people they like. She strolled towards Odette with a very lifeless treat flopping out of either side of her mouth. Odette couldn't quite make out what it was because her fake eyelashes were too long. Kelly got closer and closer and finally dropped the present in Odette's lap. It was a fat, juicy rat with wiry hair, a thick tail and bulging eyes. Odette froze. She could not move. Her mouth fell open and she let out a little squeak. Then she leaped into the air and screamed like she had never screamed before. She was in the worst state of fashion she had ever been in her life. She had rat blood all over her white dress, rat hair stuck on her tacky nails, and her own hair looked like it could have been a rat's nest. She was going crazy. At that time, Bill was in the bathroom when he heard her screaming. He ran down the hallway and was terrified because he thought his love was hurt. Bill realized what had happened and knew a trip with Kelly to the adoption center was coming up. Bill felt very lonely. After many more weeks, the animal adoption center was packed with animals from the farm that Odette did not like. Driving past one day, Odette saw how full it was. This made her realize how empty the farm was. She looked over at her husband and saw that he seemed very unhappy. Odette had a long, hard think and confessed to Bill that she was sorry and was going to make more of an effort. As a celebration, Bill and Odette decided to go to town for pizza. They ordered and Bill heard something that he just couldn't take. Odette said, "I'd like to order pineapple on my pizza." Bill looked in shock. Odette was confused. "Nope, that's it. I just can't be with somebody who would put fruit on their pizza. Pineapple? Seriously? You're one of those people? I can't take this." Bill decided Odette wasn't meant for the farm after all. He packed up her things and sent her back to the city in her little red sports car. He took back all of the animals that were left at the animal adoption center and closed it for good. Meanwhile, Odette drove to the nearest manicure place, wondering how much extra they would charge to remove rat hair from her nails. Isn't that a gorgeous story? I love the twist with the pineapple at the end. It's so cute. Okay, let's have a look at the questions. So we're going to be looking at finding facts and details, visualization, and inferring. So find and highlight the information in the story that tells you what Odette looks like. So you come back up here to this first paragraph. Odette had long, blonde, luscious locks tied back with a scarf around her head. So that's the first one. And you can either, if you're doing this digitally, you can just use the highlighting tool, or if you've printed it out, you can actually highlight. Right, so there's quite a lot of them in this first paragraph. I'm not going to tell you all of them. There's mostly in this top paragraph, and then there's a one here, and there's a couple more when we get to the Kelly parts. There's a few more bits in here. So you're going to pull that information out and write it down. Then you're going to do exactly the same thing for Bill. Now, there's not as much for Bill, so we get lots of description about Odette, but we don't get very much description about Bill. And his description about how he looks is just in this paragraph, just here. All right, then once you have finished pulling out all of that information, you're going to have a think about what does their appearance tell you about their personality. So people tend to dress for their personality. So for example, today I'm wearing a professional top. So if I was, I'm in my home recording this right now, and usually if I was at my home, I wouldn't be wearing this kind of a top. I'd probably be wearing a skivvy and a jacket over the top, and it'd be very more like tracksuit kind of things. But I'm recording a professional video right now, and so I have to dress like a professional. When I go to Pilates, they are dressed, so they sort of sportswear, because they're doing sports things, so they're dressed up as sports people, and because who they're being at that time is a Pilates instructor. So who people are, so people tend to dress for their personalities. So if you're like a really cool person, then you probably got a cap on and some sports gear on and some latest like fashionable clothes. Whereas if you're a little bit, you might be a bit more shy, you might wear more bland clothes because you don't want to stand out so much. So what does their personality, what does the way that she dressed tell you about what her personality is about and what she wants other people to think about her? And then you're going to do the same for Bill. So I've given you a couple of things to help you get started. So she's a selfish person, she's a vain person. So these are things that come out from her description of the way that she looks, but then also we get more information about her as we're reading, and she's being such a princess about Kelly and the cows and stuff. And then the same thing about Bill, so he's very kind towards her and the animals, he's very patient and understanding with Odette. So you're going to make a list of their personality or their characteristics, some of which come out through their actions and some of which come out through the way that they dress. And then you're going to draw a picture. What do you think Odette looks like? So you're going to have her long, luscious blonde locks flowing off the back of her, down her back, and then the rest of it. And then you're going to have Bill dress up like his farm stuff. What does she look like? So she's wearing her long blonde, luscious locks tied back with a scarf around her head. She's wearing a skin-tight dress and crimson lipstick and big pearl earrings. And then we find out more in the wrap paragraph. She's got painted nails, the bright pink painted nails. She couldn't see because she has big fake eyelashes. So those are the things that you should have pulled out. Now, some other bits that you might have liked to pull out sort of contribute to her personality. So this isn't directly about her appearance, but it does lead into what we know about her personality. So she works as a makeup artist and a designer. And she thought that she was going to go to this farm and live in a country house like the Queen. All right, so not to say that all makeup artists and fashion designers are vain people, but there's a perception in society that people who are like that are vain people. So in this case, she's a very fake person. So those two things kind of link together. So what I'm trying to say is it's a little bit like Kim Kardashian. So she's got a very fake appearance. So she's got her makeup plastered on, she's got lots of fake hair, fake eyelashes, fake nails, bit of plastic surgery, bit of plumping here and nip tuck there. She's wearing these fashion designer clothes, which is really figure hugging. And then she's not, I think she probably does, she does have some fashion lines, but so she makes her own fashion designer clothes, which she wears herself and then she sells. And it's this very, look at me, look how beautiful I am. So her whole world is about how beautiful she is and about her wanting other people to notice how beautiful she is. So she's designing clothes so that people can see how beautiful she is, and then she's going to give other people the opportunity to be as beautiful as her by being a makeup artist and designing clothes, so other people get the joy of being as beautiful as her. Aren't they lucky? So it's this very vain perception, and not all makeup artists and fashion designers are like that. A lot of them are wonderful, down-to-earth people, but there are other ones like those sort of like those celebrity people. You see them a bit on YouTube and stuff, where it's very vain and very look at me, look at me. So that sort of all leads into her personality. And this line here, she spent hours on Pinterest imagining her flash life in the country, maybe like Queen Elizabeth at her country home. So she thinks that she's going to go and live a life like Queen Elizabeth at her country home. Now, let me share with you what Queen Elizabeth's country home looks like. This is what Odette thinks that Bill's farm is going to look like. So she's in for a bit of a rude shock when she gets there, when it's probably just a nice Aussie farm with the cows on one side and the chickens on the other side and a humble little cottage in the middle. And you know, she thinks she's going to be the queen. And this is all led into part of her personality, because she's a princess. And she's this princess who's going to go and live with her castle with her prince. And then she gets there and she's in for this rude shock. All right, so if we keep on going with talking about her personality, then we would have words like, so we've talked about how she's princess, it's all about her, she's vain, she's selfish, she's self-involved, she's, what else would you say? Sort of along those words, where it's all very, very much about me. Right, then we've got Bill, who's the opposite. So we only just get this little bit about Bill here. So he's wearing dirty overalls. Oops, that's not meant to be there, sorry. Oh, Meredith, you should have done a better job editing. Muddy steel-cap boots and a wide-brimmed hat. So we've only got this little bit of information about about what he wears, and that's because he doesn't really care what he wears. He's a farmer, he loves to farm, and he just wants to get his clothes on there, put his hat on, get out, and get down and dirty with his animals, which he loves so much. And so his world isn't about his appearance. So he's the polar opposite of her. She's all about fashion and beauty, and he's just like getting down and dirty and getting on with the job. So his personality, he's very kind and understanding towards Odette. He's very patient with her. But he's also that way towards his animals. And we see that when he goes to build his farm, that, when he goes to build the animal adoption center, that he can't bear to just give them away or even to kill them. So he comes up, so he's problem solving as well. So he's up for the challenge of coming up with this alternate solution. And he's also hard working. It would be a lot of hard work to do his normal farm chores and come up with this animal adoption center. So he's kind, caring, understanding, hard working, problem solving, all those kinds of words that come in with it. And so we don't actually know. So where the inferencing comes in here is we don't actually know. He doesn't say, Odette was so vain and selfish, but we can pick this information out of the text based on the information that we are given. And I'm really impressed with this piece, even the way that the names have been chosen. Like Bill is just a nice, common, down-to-earth name, which is Odette is such a princessy name. It's just, you can imagine a princess having a name like Odette. It's a very sort of posh kind of a name. She's done the author of this Penny has done a really good job creating this. Okay, so that is the end of our lesson. I don't think there was any other things I was going to share with you. She seemed a little bit crazy. I love the ending as well. I love the way that there's this swing around in their personalities. So Odette is being really crazy and selfish and self-evolved, and Bill's being really understanding and get rid of those animals. I can't take it. Oh, well, she's just still adjusting to farm life. That cat's horrible. Get rid of it. Oh, all right, she is my wife. And then Odette changes to, oh, maybe I'm being a little bit of a princess and I need to be a bit more understanding. And he's right, that's it, pineapple on the pizza, that's the final straw. So they swap places and then give this like funny little ending. Anyway, so that is the end of today's lesson. Please send your work through to me. It makes me so happy when I get to see your work. So you can either PM me or email it through to me. Especially if you draw pictures of what Odette and Bill looks like, Odette and Bill look like. I would love to see it. I'm sure that they're gorgeous pictures, and I'd love to share them on Facebook. If you don't want me to, that's fine. Just let me know, and I just want to see them for myself. It gives me such joy. If you enjoyed this lesson, please share it with your family and friends. Like my Facebook page, so that everybody else can find out about my free lessons and enjoy them too. Thank you so much for your hard work today. Thank you so much for joining me for this lesson, and I'll see you at the next one. Take care.